All right, let's talk about a huge move in the US-China trade war. And listen, this goes way beyond simple tariffs. We're talking about a strategic play that hits the very core of modern technology. The stuff you need for everything from your smartphone to a fighter jet.
And this right here, this is the heart of it. China didn't just put up a small barrier, they've basically just slammed the door shut on the actual equipment needed to build a rare earth industry outside of China. The implications of this are absolutely massive.
So, what's really changed here? Let's get into it. Because the rules of this global game have just been completely torn up and rewritten. Okay, so check out this shift. Before, China's strategy was pretty clever, right? They'd sell you the physical machines, but not the manuals or the know-how. It was kind of like buying a super complex car with zero instructions on how to drive it or fix it. Well, as of just a few days ago, that's all over. Now they've banned exporting the equipment altogether, especially if it has dual-use potential, for things like missile guidance and stealth tech.
And what this move really does is it pulls back the curtain on this deep, almost invisible dependency the West has on China. We're not just talking about the rare earth materials themselves, but for the actual tools you need to process them.
To really get how deep this goes, let's look at one specific, absolutely critical piece of machinery. It's called a spin caster, and it's a key part of making the super powerful magnets that pretty much run our entire modern world.
And this is a perfect illustration of the problem. You've got this plant in the UK, right, called Less Common Metals. The key piece of equipment, that spin caster, sure, it might have a Japanese furnace on the outside, but the inside, the guts of the machine, all Chinese. And you know why? Simple. Because they make the best ones in the world. Period.
So here's the kicker. A company like USA Rare Earths, who actually ended up buying Less Common Metals, wants to build a new plant in Oklahoma. But now, where do they get the equipment? Their #1 supplier, the best in the business, is suddenly completely off limits. They are totally cut off.
This creates a huge challenge. I mean, if you can't buy the best equipment out there, what's your only option? You have to try and build it yourself, from scratch. And that is a massive, monumental undertaking.
And look, we're not talking about putting together some IKEA furniture here. You have to design the entire thing, find someone who can even build it, figure out the exact materials that won't get destroyed by the process, test it, validate it. A mistake at any single one of these steps could set a project back for years.
But you know what the biggest roadblock is? It's not even the parts, it's the people. The expertise to do this kind of super specialized work is incredibly rare in the West. There just aren't a lot of engineers and specialists who have this kind of hands-on experience anymore. Where are you going to find them?
And this isn't just some theory. The West has tried to build its own rare earth plants before. And let me tell you, the history there is littered with really expensive, time-consuming failures.
A huge part of the problem is the chemistry. I mean, the process uses these incredibly corrosive chemicals. You can't just go grab some pipes off the shelf. They will literally be eaten away and fall apart if they're not designed perfectly for the job.
Just in the last decade, 2 major rare earth plants have failed, and for this exact reason: equipment errors. We're talking about pipes that just perforated and collapsed because the designers completely underestimated the brutal chemistry they were dealing with. And the price tag for getting this wrong? It's immense. Fixing those past failures cost hundreds of millions of dollars. It's an incredibly high-stakes game where one tiny mistake can basically sink the entire project.
And it's not just about the money. Think about the strategic cost. These failures didn't just burn through cash, they set the West's supply chain development back by years. That's valuable time that's just gone.
Now here's the real kicker. How did they eventually fix those earlier disasters? They had to bring in Chinese engineers. Experts who had seen it all before and done it all before were flying in, on site, helping solve the problems. Well, that help, that critical safety net of expertise, it's not available anymore. So when you start putting all these pieces on the board, this move by China starts to look less like a simple trade restriction and a whole lot more like, well, checkmate.
What's really fascinating, though, is watching how the financial markets are reacting. You know, they hear China is cutting off the supply, and what happens? The stock prices of Western rare earth companies actually start to climb. The market is thinking, yes, this is their big moment.
But the expert analysis? It points to the complete opposite. These companies, they aren't the solution. Right now, because of this deep dependency on Chinese tech and know-how, they are the problem. I mean, what are they supposed to do now?
This is a brilliant strategic play. China isn't just randomly flexing its muscles here. This shows they have a profound understanding of their opponent's biggest weaknesses. They know they're holding all the critical cards in this high-stakes technology war.
So that leaves us with this final massive question. In a game where one player seems to be holding all the winning cards, what can the other side possibly do next? The race to basically reinvent an entire industrial supply chain, completely from scratch, is officially on.